Tracy's Transformational Kitchen. I am so glad that you could join us today. We are already halfway through the program. Woo! Yes! You're awesome!
3 objectives. 1. Look at the protein and calcium content in common foods. 2. Learn about consumer versus producer. And number 3. Watch the butterfly circus, the inspiring story of one who transforms from consumer to producer.
In Tracy's Transformational Health Principles, the book that we are using for the mentoring program, Tracy uses some tables and charts to help us visually understand and organize the information presented. So what we have here, once again, is a visual, so you can actually see a picture to go along with the description. So follow along in your book as we look through each one of these items.
That's all I need. Transition 4. Begin to zero out animal products from your meals. Start with dairy, pork, and processed meats, as these are the biggest liabilities to your immediate health. Start replacing them with nuts, seeds, and legumes.
I was introduced to a man named Les McGuire several years ago. He was instrumental in some of the things that taught me. We have 2 choices in life. We can be a victim or we can be a producer. And he called these 2 mentalities, he called it the producer mentality and the consumer mentality. And he said that we live our whole lives with each of them on our shoulders. And that producer mentality is a soft, quiet voice. It takes self-control, it takes work to listen to that voice. And then we have this louder voice that's talking to us, the consumer side, that's telling us what a victim we are. He said they'd always be there facing us, and it would always be a battle to try to overcome these two the mentalities. And he said that life was going to test us. When we came to this knowledge, we were going to get it put to the test to see if we were going to collapse and become consumers, or if we were going to rise to the occasion and be a producer. And it was shortly after that seminar that we went to when we had an accident in our family. I was coming out of the grocery store with my children, and all my kids were with me at the time. It was before the twins were born, so it was me and my 4 kids, and Nettie was just 2 years old. There was a car, and we stopped for it, and I looked at the guy driving the car, and it appeared as though it was okay for us to go, so we started to go. And as we started to walk behind this car, it was full blast, and we were just pushed back by the force of the car. Some of the kids were able to step out of the way. I was right behind the bumper, and I was holding onto my daughter's hand, who was 2 at the time. And as the car pushed backwards, her hand slipped out of mine, and I could feel her body as my hands were on the bumper of the car trying to push it away from me. I could feel her body being run over by the car. And there were people that were coming by to tell him to stop as I climbed underneath the front of the car, and she was pinned under the axle, and her arm was stuck under the front wheel, just barely. So I was able to pull her arm free, and I had to push her head down with my hand underneath her head to push her head out from under the front axle. And I scooped her out to where I could hold her so she was no longer underneath the car if he happened to move again. After taking Life Flight to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake, and we were there for about a week in intensive care, my husband and I remembered this thing that Les McGuire had taught us, to be producer-minded, to know that there was something good to come of this, that we were supposed to learn something, and those around us were to learn something as well. And the whole time we were just like, we don't know what good is going to come from this, but it's something wonderful. As horrible as a tragedy is, there's going to be its opposite miracle and wonderful thing happen. After we had all experienced this traumatic event, we went and talked to this guy at Dr. Paul's office, and he really helped us to see how we were benefited and how we can get through tough things in our lives. If for nothing else, look at us, we made it. I am made it through the tough times. So much more careful as I'm both driving through parking lots and as I'm walking through parking lots. And how much better is that? So much better that we're more cautious. Another good thing that happened was how much love and support our friends and neighbors and our church were able to show towards us. They had such an outpouring of love from all of our loved ones around us because they cared so much for this little girl, and they cared so much for us, and they showed me a great deal of compassion for people who deal with long-term illness and how hard it is to do that for a long time. Nettie was in a body cast up to her chest for a month. I won't go into all the gory details. It was hard work. And look, I made it through. I can do hard things, and I have greater compassion for others who have to go through it too. So we learn from our experiences, and there is good in everything. And we can choose to, with our health, be a consumer about our health, or we can choose to be a producer and go out and do something with our lives to take charge of our health. Thank you for joining us for Tracy's Transformational Kitchen. That was Nettie, the sweetheart little angel.